Hey, Crispy, it's Benno here from Awaken the Hate. Obviously, we're here to have a chat with you, and Ryan should be joining us shortly, who's our drummer. And then we've also got Justin, our guitar, who won't be with us today, and Michael Doherty's filling in on bass for this tour. So, yeah, g'day. How you going?
Yeah, good to join you, Benno. Thanks for joining us today, brother.
Thanks, mate. Thanks for having us.
No worries. So we got a bit to get through today, but we'll start off with your most recent single, Planet Death, which was released last Friday. So it was a third single that you released in the last month, bro. So how was the reception for it?
Well, it's yeah, like you said, it came out yesterday, so it's only been overnight, but all things so far, it's pretty good. I think the biggest reception's actually been from Ryan and Justin, who I think have actually finally heard the song for the first time, even though they've been playing it for a year. Obviously, like in a band, like what you hear out the back and on the side versus what everyone's hearing at the front is very, very different. So they finally heard it mixed and mastered and go, oh, that's what this song sounds like. So it's actually interesting to have that idea floating around that your own band doesn't know what your own songs sound like, even though they've been the ones performing them. So, which I've always found a little bit interesting.
The song completes a three-part concept-driven series of standalone singles of tracks dubbed Death, War, and Fire. Now, I want to run through each of the songs individually, but firstly, what is the concept behind the trilogy?
Well, originally, well, actually, the whole idea that these three songs got released. So, Steve, who started Awaken the Hate, made the decision at the end of last year to step away. That was all for his personal reasons, but these were the last of the three songs that he wrote with the band, and we thought this would be a fitting way to say goodbye. So he actually came back to record them with us.
Okay.
He's still a very good friend of the band, and the door's always open if he ever wants to come back. We're currently not replacing him with a second guitarist. We're just going to do this tour with one guitarist. Um, yeah. So Ryan's just sent me a message. He'll be joining very, very shortly. So yeah, so that was sort of the idea. And then obviously, um, they all each song sort of tackles something differently, something environmental with this current one, Planet Death, very political. G'day, Ryan.
Hey, boys.
Good
Yeah.
morning. Thanks for joining us, bro.
Hey, Chris. Sorry about that, mate. I got caught up between Bundy and Agnes. There's a shitload of traffic here today, so but we made
No
it.
worries at all. We just run over the last single actually, and then we're about to start on the singles breaking down one by one. So we'll let Benno finish off what he was on about then.
Yeah,
Yes.
sweet. Too
Yeah,
easy,
so,
man.
yeah, like I was saying, so yeah, Planet Death's environmental, Contradiction of War's very political, and then Rain of Fire is a bit more sort of spiritual about the whole thing. So that's sort of what the concept about it was. And then releasing them as a trilogy was to say thanks to Steve and also finally get a bit more than two tracks out there for people.
Nice. Now, Rain of Fire was the first cab off the rank. So tell us about that song in more detail.
Well, that one that was the one that I never ever wanted recorded, if I'm 100% honest, because
Yeah.
well, it's the initial concept was it's based on the movie Rain of Fire with Christian Bale and Steve McConaughey. So it's a dragon and all of that. But the fans love it. All the boys have always enjoyed playing it, and it connects. So we were like, cool, let's get them all out there. And that was sort of the basic concept behind Rain of Fire.
But what's it about lyrically? Tell me it's not about Matthew McConaughey.
Oh, well, it is about a dragon that's, coming from like deep within the earth to wreak havoc upon an apocalyptic world or create an apocalyptic world, which also sets up the rest of the trilogy. Um, just really basic concepts of, it's very, very easy for the human race to be wiped out. And I think sometimes we forget how fragile we really are, whether it be a mythical dragon or, we've all experienced a few things in the last 3 to 4 years that have caused disruption to the planet.
And what choose that particular song to launch the trilogy?
Basically because it didn't have a guitar solo.
Okay.
That was
Interesting.
Yeah, that was the reason. It's not not a lot of thought went into it. Oh, well, it literally was that it was no guitar solo. I figured we'll get the one that's just a heavy headbang and like smack you in the face introduction to the trilogy, and then we'll get into the ones that I also think that the next two lyrically have got a lot more depth to them. So Rain of Fire to me was like, cool, that's the fun one. We'll get that out of the road. And then we'll get the two hard hitters to follow.
Right.
So.
Speaking of hard hitters, the next one was Contradiction of War, which was very hard hitting, mate. Tell us more about that one and what it's about.
Well, obviously we released it on Anzac Day, which I discussed with Ryan because his missus actually works for what's it called, Ryan?
Yeah, she's basically works with for veterans. So in like an ecosystem that looks after veterans all over Australia. So it was like a well-timed kind of release for the track, considering a lot of us have ties to the military and so it was a good day to kind of get that one out there.
Mm-hmm. And was it more of a tribute to the fallen soldiers, or was it more of an indictment against government policies on a day where the deaths of so many are remembered?
Well, I think it's about awareness. Like, obviously, Anzac Day in Australia is a very, very special day. And it's for us to remember the fallen soldiers. And I think some of it times we forget that not all of these guys had the best time while they were doing it, and women, I should say. And then when they get back as well, we forget about how hard it is. And I think that releasing it on Anzac Day was a way of saying, hey, we respect everything that's going on, but maybe we should have a deep think about why these conflicts are happening and why we're sending our future off to get killed, essentially.
Did you get much feedback from that? It was a bold move.
Not negative. The feedback we actually got back was all positive about the actual track. So I think that's a pretty good indictment into where people are. They can take the message and then actually focused on the music, which was great for us because we're really, really happy with this one. The mix and the master came back huge, and and we actually did something really, really different. Well, not really, really different, but a little bit different. All of this was recorded without a click track. So this is all Ryan set the tone. And it's his drums, they're not replaced. We recorded the bass tracks live, added guitar solos and vocals second. But I think you can feel that too. It's got the emotion. It's got that groove, that drive about it that doesn't have that clinical, like we've done this via a computer.
Mm-hmm. And on Friday, of course, you released his third and concluding chapter called Planet Death. So tell us more about that one.
That one's very, very simple. It's a theme that I connect with, and that's the apocalyptic themes with particularly in regards to the environment and to political, but particularly in the environment, particularly in this carbon-fueled world. We've got an election on today, and obviously in the environment's been very, very big in that. And it's definitely a theme that I connect with. Plus, you heard Ryan's drums on it. How kick-ass are they?
Yeah, it gets you moving. And fun to play. We smashed that out like in the studio. I think we had maybe 2-3 takes to get that down.
Yeah.
That's without a click track, without overlaying everyone's different instruments, and without a whole day in the studio. We smashed it out pretty quick. So it's pretty cool to hear when it plays back, especially people like me. Like I sit behind the kit most of the time. So when I joined this band, I'd heard bits and pieces of recordings of songs, but I'd never actually heard them front of stage. So until we recorded these, I'd actually never heard them as a spectator. I'd only ever heard them behind the kit. So to me, everything sounded loud and massive. And then when I heard them back, I was like, shit, man, this is what people like this shit. It's fucking good to listen to. Yeah.
Those 3 songs are standalone tracks, but you've said that they kick off an explosive thematic arc that will carry over to your debut album. Like, can you elaborate on that arc?
Are you on that one, Ryan? Or
yeah, so obviously, Steve and Benno with Awaken the Hate for years before me and Juzzy joined the band, had a particular I guess, an agenda with the songwriting, with Steve's songwriting, and with the kind of groove metal, which we all love. Like I've got a massive background and passion in groove metal, and so has Juzzy, the rest of the boys. But I think when we joined the band, we kind of thought if we start taking it in a new direction, we can start pushing it a little faster, a little more aggressive. I mean, if you listen to the old Awaken the Hate stuff, even the songs that we're now playing, probably like half the speed. So we've kind of upped the tempo, and that's that feel. I mean, I've got a huge passion behind that particular, BPM for listeners and what gets people really pumped up and motivated. So I think with the new tracks, you'll hear a little bit more of that, a little bit more aggression, a little bit more tempo, a little bit more, ferocity in the way that we write the music. But then the lyrics and the drive behind the band, what's driven it up to this point and made it so successful is will stay the same. So you'll just see a little bit of a difference in relation to some new input from, say, the newer members of the band, but still having that whole Awaken the Hate, ethos that they've always kind of carried from back in the day to now.
Yeah. And is that partly fan driven? Like, do you think your fans want to hear that, or are you sort of experimenting a bit with that and hoping they come along for the ride?
No, I think I haven't met all the fans, but I met a few of the ones, that have been there for quite some time. But every time we release a new song, or every time we play, like I've been with the band now for over a year, and you get feedback from the way that we're now playing maybe some of those songs. And obviously we haven't had a chance to really, smash some of this new stuff out yet, but I guess it'll be hard to tell, and we'll get more of an idea when we start playing these new tracks on tour, in the next week or two, and then we get some feedback from the crowd, from the audience, and I think they'll like. I mean, most of the people that I know that listen to this kind of shit, love music for what it is and how it makes them feel. I think that little tiny change when it comes down to it won't make much of a difference. I think people will still love the whole, what Awaken the Hate brings to the stage. It's always a show. It's always an experience. It's always lyrically unreal, and I think people just love that side of it. So I don't think making those small changes to influence will change that. I think it will just hopefully bring more people on board, So
Nice.
We'll see what happens.
Nice. Now, on the subject of the debut album, guys, what are the plans for that? Have you started writing it yet, or have you put that on hold till you finish the tour coming up?
No, it's definitely started. We're actually taking 2 new songs on tour with us to road test them. So one of them's really, really fresh, so that'll be interesting to see how the performance element goes on that. The crowd will definitely hear what it's like to not know your song well. But
yeah, when he says fresh, he means we haven't actually played it all the way through yet.
Really fresh.
Yeah,
it's gonna be fresh, man.
Yeah, but these for me, I get to add a lot more lyrical content now that that I'm becoming the main lyric writer, rather like Steve's no longer with us. And what I'm trying to do is actually get a lot more political and a lot more less personal. Like I don't want to write internally. I want to write more about universally issues that everyone's dealing with. So so we'll see. We're going to take them on tour. They're definitely they do take off where, like, I guess more Planet Death finished, and then you can see where we're going from that. And yeah, I'm pretty happy because one of the new ones I actually even wrote the guitar riff for. So so we'll see. I'm excited about it. We've got a few things in the back pocket with discussions in Europe at the moment, which we can't say too much about, but that will be tied to the new album. So we'll see. There's definitely 2 new tracks along with the ones that have been released coming on tour with us as well.
Nice. Now, speaking of tour, Awaken the Hate are taking the songs on the road for 4 shows on a 4-day run starting in Perth on May the 8th. Then you hit Adelaide, Melbourne and Sydney over consecutive days. Like, that's a bloody hard slog for your first national tour, 4 shows in 4 days from 4 states.
Yeah, and that's my fault. Sorry.
Good on you.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, we know we love being in the bands. We could be full-time rock stars. I'm sure we'd all be doing that, but a lot of us still have families and jobs and things like that we're going to get back to. So I think the only way to make it work this time was try to, get away on a Thursday, get back on a Monday, get back to life. So we hadn't much of a choice. So basically, yeah, we jump on the flight on, I think Wednesday night, we get into Perth. We've got a day in WA where we'll hopefully get a chance to have a bit of a rehearsal. And then, we've got, BENNO's done all the work here, but we've got shows. So, Thursday night, and then straight on, I think we're on a plane the next morning at 7 to fly to Adelaide. And then the next morning on another plane to fly to Melbourne. Then the next day in the morning, fly to Sydney. And then although my 20-year-old brain reckons we'll be totally sweet with all that stuff, I think our 40-year-old bodies are going to probably cop a bit of a flogging, but we don't have much of a choice. And I think that's the difference between work and play. Like if it was a 4-day work conference, I reckon I'd be dead by day 3. But I think the fact that we get to jump on stage and do what we love and hopefully please the fans and the crowds that turn up. It doesn't matter how shit you feel when you get on stage, that kind of gets you through your set. And then, you want to enjoy your time with the fans after that. And then I reckon that'll get us through. So, we'll see what happens. I'm pretty fit. I reckon I'll make it through. Benno, what about you, mate?
I lost 10 kilos in the last 5 weeks. I'll put it all back on in beer. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you probably will. We're going to put some weight on this tour. But no, we can. I reckon we can do it. We're motivated. Everything's well organized. That's big thanks to Benno for doing all the organization for this particular tour. But everything's organized and we know what we're doing. So I think just enthusiasm will get us through the 4.
Nice. I've got to say too, good on you for taking it to Perth too, guys. They're always screaming out for music over there. So hopefully they get behind it when you take it over there.
Yeah, well, that was Justin's idea. So he was over there last year as a guitar tech for one of the headliners on the Red Hot Summer Tour. And he was like, man, we've got to get to Perth. And we're like, cool. So we actually based this whole tour around getting to Perth. Unfortunately, I know everyone in Perth was like, can you do Friday or Saturday? And we're like, I'd love to, but unfortunately this time around we can't. But luckily I've got some friends over there. And the band Voyager's actually given us their backline, which is going to be awesome. Nice. So, yeah, that's very... and they got a new song out as well, and it's good to see Danny back. Oh, man, I'm sure they've had a rough time since Eurovision, but I'm going to be stoked to have a beer with the guys and girls. So, yeah, it's Perth should be fun. I'm looking forward to it. So...
run us through a typical Awaken The Hate live show then, guys. A lot of people around these places wouldn't have seen it before. So what do they expect?
Yeah, man. Well, expect noise, expect energy, expect a ridiculous show. I've been to millions of metal shows and they're always sick, but I think the ones that are, a bit of ad-lib, and Benno as a front man always makes it super fun. So the crowd's going to get involved. Instead of just jumping out there on stage and playing your shit and getting off, we like to get on there and make sure the crowd's involved, having a good time. And then, and the music speaks for itself. I think it's got that feel that really gets people involved and into it. So we're expecting a fair bit of motion, heaps of sweat, and probably a couple of beers. And Benno's usually got about 5 beers stuck in front of or behind. He actually makes a mistake of leaving them close to the drum kit. So he found it the hard way after the last show that if he leaves them too close to me, I'll be drinking them. But anyway, fans are going to love it. I think they're in for a massive show, and anyone who turns up is not going to be disappointed. I promise them that.
Yeah. And where can people find out more about the tour or follow the band?
Facebook, Instagram. Yeah, we've got the links there. There's there's a link in Instagram and Facebook to our link tree, which has a link to all the tickets. So I think it's OzTix for Perth, Adelaide, and Sydney is OzTix, and it's Eventbrite in Melbourne. We're actually playing the Cherry Bar in Melbourne, which is obviously a very popular live music venue in Melbourne. I'm super stoked. Last time I was there, I was actually drinking with Mastodon, so that was pretty fun.
Oh, they come to the show?
Oh, yeah, that was one of the existing support slots. So yeah, I was ended up there, great night out, and the venue said, well, if you're coming to Melbourne, play our venue. And I said, okay.
Yeah.
Guys, well, thanks very much for joining us today. The trilogy of songs is out now, and it's a cracker. Tour starts next weekend, so get behind these Queensland boys while they take it to the world.